Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth911's Sustainability in Your Ear. This is the podcast conversation about accelerating the transition to a sustainable carbon neutral society. And I'm your host, Mitch Ratcliffe. Thank you very much for joining the conversation today. Waste, or rather the unused resources that we've tossed away carelessly instead of preserving its usefulness by reusing, recycling, or returning the material safely to nature, continues to vex humanity and pollute the environment. As bottle deposit programs and other incentives for recycling have demonstrated, people will not only recycle, but start businesses to capture the value of discarded materials when we place a value on those materials. Food waste alone, for example, represents a $218 billion loss of value, according to the National Defense Resources Council. And the Institute of Scrap Recycling Industries reports that scrap collection companies collect $117 billion worth of metal, paper, and plastic, as well as other materials annually, even though the U.S. recycling rate is just 21% overall. There's a lot of value out there to capture. Our guest today is Electra Coutsoftides. She's the CEO of Xworks, and she's building a business network to catalyze recycling progress. Xworks network is designed to enhance waste handling and trading using a secure platform where accredited waste professionals, and we'll find out what that means, can connect and do business efficiently. The Xworks platform provides digital compliance reporting capabilities, making it easier to meet regulatory requirements. Members are verified before they can join to ensure trustworthiness among all the users, and that's a keystone to any successful network. The confidence that trades on the network are legitimate is important to promoting a more efficient and reliable environment for collaboration. And in the past, these business conversations have taken place primarily at industry conferences, which requires a lot of travel rather than in real time. So a digital network can accelerate the industry's progress. If we can streamline connections, save time, reduce costs, and improve the integrity of transactions within the waste and recycling industry, perhaps we can make it more profitable to clean up our mess. You can learn more about Xworks at xworkstech.com. Xworks Tech is all one word, no space, no dash. Now, before we get to the show, a quick commercial break. Welcome to the show, Electra. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. It's a pleasure to have you here. And before we get started, you're described as a visionary. So I want to start big. What would your vision of the experience of being done with a product, its packaging or manufacturing materials, be like for a consumer or business in the world that you would like to build? What are we aiming for in terms of a circular, sustainable, and recycling-based economy?
In terms of what I envision for the future is where a consumer or a business will put something in the bin or send it off to be recycled, and they will have a full, transparent view of what actually happens to that material. And so it will leave their premises in one way or in another, whether it's a skip or a bin, and then they will be able to have a full picture view. Oh, it went to the recycling center. From the recycling center, it went to get recycled to the recycler. Then it went to a manufacturer and got reused and then back into the chain, which is what happens today, but we just don't see it.
Well, in terms of that kind of transparency, which I'm sure that our listeners would love to see, because they know, for instance, that plastic bags that have been dropped in collection bins at groceries often end up in landfills rather than recycled. How does the introduction of digital technology change our potential to see into the system? And can we do it at a reasonable price? That's the other side of the coin here.
Well, I think here in Europe, we're really setting the stage. We're really pushing the boundaries, and we're really driving the discussion and the advancements around this digitizing waste. And yes, it is doable. There's technology out there right now that's doing it, tracking devices, whether it's QR codes or infrared codes or something like that. But basically, it is possible with the technology that we have today. There are systems out there that are already doing it in some form or fashion, but Europe is actually leading the charge, saying we have to track everything that either is consumer-based or business-based, so that we can have a better understanding to what actually happens. Where does it go? Does it end up in landfill? Can we stop it from going to landfill? Here in Europe as well, landfill is no longer being, companies can't go to landfill anymore unless the product has been recycled 80%. So you need to have visibility on what's actually happened to it before, and you can only do that with data and information. And that's where data and information in the big picture, you really understand what happens and how can we affect change. And this is our goal right now.
Now, since we only recycle, at least here in the United States, about 21% of our stuff, and in Europe, I think the number is around 39, 40% on average. Is the savings, or rather the value that we can pull back out of the waste stream, enough to offset the cost so that this can be profitable for all the participants in the process?
Absolutely. I'm here because I want to change the perception of what people think of as waste.
Mm-hmm.
Even your black bag waste or the grocery waste that you put away and you think, oh, it's trash or garbage, even that has a value. It's a negative value, but it still has a value, especially here in Europe. I'm sure you guys have it over there, but it's called waste to energy. It takes time to process it and turn it into something else. You also have, I think Exxon in Texas is doing it, where they're taking low-grade materials called MRFs, or low-grade MRF, mechanically recycled materials that really can't be recycled, and turning it into oil. So there's pyrolysis. So there are ways to handle all types of byproducts of living. I call it that. It's for me, it's not rubbish, it's not trash, it's not garbage, because they all streams have a value and can be recycled in one way or another. So yeah, I think that people need to change. There needs to be a perception change around what we consider waste. I think that when we go to the toilet, that's waste. But even that they're using it. Exactly. Yeah. I heard of horse dung being used as fuel. And so, cow dung is being used in the farms. So yeah, there's, all waste, it can be used. It's just a matter of finding a way and routes to market. And that's where Xworks comes in.
Well, and so how does Xworks as a business and trading network fit into this world that you're describing?
Well, the idea is that we're leveraging off our experience. I've been in the industry for over 12 years. One of my co-founders, Alex, has been in the industry for over 18 years. We have a very strong network. We understand what we're doing. And it's about really understanding. If you have to understand where and how to use the different types of products and how to connect it. So what we're doing is we're using technology to help optimize the connections, sending it to the right people, understanding what each company is doing and how they process it so they get the right material instead of just potluck, good luck, I hope hope it works kind of thing. And then there's all these other problems. So it's utilizing the power of technology, artificial intelligence, generative AI, actually, that it starts learning. And the more it learns, the better it gets. And it optimizes route, it optimizes logistic channels, it optimizes the quality of the material as well.
So what's the member experience on the Xworks network? Do they log in and say, I'm looking for this kind of waste, or I have this kind of waste, and then what happens?
Yeah, we are a B2B platform for the time being. We don't work with consumers. So really, we focus on companies. So it could be a waste collector, an aggregator, a reprocessor, a manufacturer, logistics, ancillary, people that have machinery, for example, or traders, brokers. So mainly traders, people that own the material in some capacity. And so they come to us and say, hey, what I really want is to find a network where I can certify and make sure that the person I'm speaking to is authentic, is real, is verified, they have the right licenses, they actually have the material. Because this industry is so much in the background, it really attracts a lot of bad actors, a lot of scammers, and you hear this even in today's day and age. So many people get scammed, people pretending that they have something that they don't, and they get scammed for thousands of dollars. And this is ongoing. And so, and then sending the wrong material that then they have to deal with, and that's a cost. And why should they have to bear that cost? And if it's going to third world countries, they end up getting dumped in the ground. So from an experience point of view, they come, they network, we verify, we certify who they are, and we
Mhm.
start introducing them to the right people. So they'll tell us, I'm interested in X material. This is where I'm interested to sell my material in the region or area. And we start making these connections for them.
How do you do that verification? How do you confirm that somebody is really a waste handling professional rather than a scammer?
Yeah, so there's, I mean, I don't want to give our trade secrets away, but no, there's
But what does it
various
mean to
ways.
me? What does it mean to me as another member to know that somebody's verified?
Oh, absolutely. So we ask you to ID verify. This is step one. Step one
Okay.
is make sure that you have kind of like it's a KYC verification. It's automated. As I don't know in the US, but over here we're able to when we sign up with our banking app, they ask
Mhm.
us to take a picture of our passport plus a photo, a selfie to make sure that we are authentic. That's step one. And we found that if you are not able to do that or not willing to do that, that's a signal. That's
Sure.
step one. Step two is we check your company. Step three, we check to see if you have the right license.
Mhm.
Step four, we check the material, the quality, make sure that it is what it is through AI. It's intelligent enough to understand high level. It's plastic, it's metal, it's, that sort of thing. Also timestamps and that kind of information. And then we gamify the approach. So you come in and it starts
Okay.
understanding your patterns and trends. And so we've also we use AI in the conversations, and we've actually uncovered several scammers, and we blocked them. So this is how intuitive that the system can be.
So how large is the network at this point? I know you're primarily operating in Europe, and roughly how much gets traded on the platform?
Right now, so we are a startup. We started in in July 2020. We
Mhm.
launched our MVP in November 22, and we already have over 1,200 subscribers that have joined our network. And we are already reaching $1.3 million annual recurring revenue.
So, and I've been to conferences and stood in conversation and listened, and these exchanges are. I need this many containers of PET, and I need it on this regular basis. Is that the nature of these conversations? I've got this.
Yes.
I can get it to you on a regular cadence.
Yes, absolutely. Exactly. You spoke like a pro. That's exactly what happens. They come on, I've got 500 tons of PET bottles. I'm looking to sell it at this rate. Do you want to bid, not bid, that kind of thing. The US likes bidding. In Europe, it's very much, this is the price I want, especially with the Germans. This is the price I want. Give it to me or not give it to me kind of thing. And then they're off. Now we're developing out the platform so we can manage this connection on a blockchain so that it's a public ledger so that all the parties involved are held accountable.
Yeah.
And then for sure, if anything happens, exactly where something could have occurred.
Well, nature uses everything, but nature is sort of intimately connected. And we are just starting to make these connections. Do you find that most of the material you're trading at this point is business waste that is essentially easy to put a gate around because the organization knows what it makes and what it weighs? Or are you also seeing consumer materials that are being collected by an organization and then sold, like a PET bottle?
Yeah. That's, well, post-consumer materials. Yeah, that is being traded as well. It is restricted to be handled within the OECD regions or
Okay.
OECD countries to protect the underdeveloped countries from receiving this type of materials. But
Mhm.
it is being moved. It is being transported. Although now in Europe, especially, there is higher restrictions, meaning you have to put bonds in place to make sure that it goes from A to B, and you announce to the various countries that it passes through, that it's coming, transboundary agreements. But it is moving, and this is the low grade type of post-consumer materials. Actually, that's where I trained in, so to speak. I trained in low grade post-consumer materials, things that nobody wanted, and that's how I became very passionate about Xworks.
This is a really interesting discussion. I want to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be right back. Now back to the discussion with Electra Coutsoftides. of Xworks, a business network and trading platform for waste professionals. Electra, can you share an example of a particularly innovative project or solution that Xworks has developed? How did it come to be, and what's the solution doing?
So we worked with a London council, and this was in end of 2022. This was part of a paid opportunity to join and see how we can help solve some of these council's problems. And what it was, they had some material that they were sending to landfill. And we said, actually, we have a route to market for that. We can help you with that. There's no need. And they're part of a net zero program in London. And so they had targets to meet as part of this net zero program that they were on. And so we came in and they just didn't know what to do with this material. Now, councils really just don't do much around waste management. They think, a lot of people think it ends at councils. No, it doesn't. It goes from councils, they hire it out to waste management, then the whole cycle continues. But we went in there, we said, actually, we could do something with that. It was something like, I don't know, like 300 or 400 tons a month of a mixed HDPE, PP, PT kind of post-consumer bottle mix.
A lot of plastic.
A lot of plastic. It takes time to separate it, and labels and caps and whatnot. A lot of plastic. But if you know what to do with it and where to go, this has a value. So what we did, we found a route to market, a sustainable route to market, and we could prove it. We showed the route, the value chain, and we managed to move it. And for that, we gave them some plastic credit that they were able to use to invest back into their program and helping the community.
Interesting. Now we have an idea of the flow, and you have an interesting perch to look at how we might instrument the network, the waste stream, for effective tracking. So, of course, we can't just put sensors everywhere. Where are the key points for investment that would make the biggest difference to making collection and processing transparent?
So we're talking, I mean, you're talking about collection and processing. I think that's pretty much covered.
Okay, how so? Because
I think so.
How it isn't here. So how should we be doing it? What's the solution you're referring to?
So you're like in the US. Well, okay, we all have problems. We're not all doing very well. I mean, we're all not all hitting our targets. But I think that, for example, here in the UK and in Europe, it's becoming mandatory to digitally track the material. So what that means is when I have material to go send to a skip or a waste management site, as soon as it hits the weighbridge, they start tracking. So they start screening the material coming in. They start putting, I don't know, QR codes, barcodes, or whatever. And then it goes to processing. And from that processing, they start tracking, well, this much went to metal, this much went to there. And I think that's where it starts. That journey starts there. So if we can start capturing that information from the time that it starts getting segregated into the different grades, and then baled for export with some kind of tag, then somebody like the Xworks network can come in, capture that tag. So because the problem I think today is that nobody's thinking about the traded volume. We're always talking about managing it on the ground, but nobody's really talking about this elephant in the room that it's there, but nobody really talks about. And it's about this mass traded volumes that goes west and east and back and forth, up and down in containers and trucks. It is ridiculous. So at that point, once we are able to digitize from the ready to export market material, we can start tracking where is it going. Is it actually going to a reprocessor, or is it being sent all over the place so I can make money and then dump somewhere just so I can make a penny on that?
Could we use technology to extend the incentives all the way back potentially to the business that generated the waste in the first place? And I think you've already basically answered that with the example of the
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What about the consumer? Could we literally start to say, this waste has this much value, it's great to send it back? I mean, we do this with bottle deposit programs in the States, for instance, and it works great. Can we do that at scale?
my big vision, my long-term vision, I would like to see that happen through the Xworks network. I want to empower businesses
Mhm.
by incentivizing them, whether it's through plastic credits or sustainability credits. We're talking about carbon credits, plastic credits, but why don't we talk about sustainability credits? You know, how sustainably are we actually performing, rather than these, you know, incentives that we can't really quantify. You know, carbon credits, great, but how do we quantify this? It's some kind of formula, but anyway, I digress. But yes, back to the consumer. Yes, we can. We can incentivize the consumer, again, through sustainability credits, giving them something tangible that they can use or reuse in a tangible way, like non-fungible tokens, sustainability bonds, or something that they can have some monetary value to incentivize them to do something with how they're performing.
So where would you suggest those credits come from? Is it from the value of the waste, or could it be more effective if a government put a mandate in place and incentives? So let's say Italy issued a green bond to compensate people for having the material come back in. What, as you must have thought about this a little bit, who should be paying or at least generating the incentives in the first place? Because you can always work out the payment way down the line later.
I mean, in my world, I'm generating it. Xworks is generating this sustainability credit. But there's other credit programs out there. There's plastic credit programs that started off in Asia. I think Vera in the US is kind of controlling that environment. But yeah, there's companies already doing that, but they're doing that for projects and, you
Right.
know, that kind of thing. What I really want to do is bring it down to the consumer so that they can be affected, and
Mhm.
take these credits and say, hey, if you do this right, if we educate the consumer on how to recycle better, then by the time it gets to waste management or councils, then that is going to be a step up in improvement. That goes back to one of your other questions. If we educate the consumer on how to recycle better, then the products that will come to waste management, councils, etc., that get dropped off will be in a better state. But today, we just don't know. I mean, we think that we're doing something right, but when it gets to the other end, it's like, it's rubbish. We're just going to burn it, and that defeats the purpose of the consumer making the effort to recycle.
Absolutely. And that's why Earth 911 exists. I mean, we help consumers figure this out and act on it. But what we often see is companies just kind of slap a recyclable logo on something without actually making any effort to follow up to make sure it's collected, which sends the message to everyone that this is just waste. How do we rethink that as an industry, and not the waste industry, but as the consumer packaged goods industry, for instance? How should those organizations start to reposition internally the idea that waste has value and that they can lower their long-term costs and environmental impacts by recognizing and beginning to pay that value?
Yeah, that I think this is such a big question. There's not one right answer. I think it takes a lot of things that need to
Mhm.
be working in tandem. So education starts, you know, at home, and then education with our children growing up, helping them understand that this is about valuable resource. Also, incentivizing through, I don't know, some credit program where, you know, oh, if I do this, like, for example, in Korea, you can use your plastic bottles and you can use that to get on the train.
Mhm.
Great. Now I don't throw it away. I could do something with it. Same at home. I know in Italy, I met some really fantastic innovators, and they have recycling bins that turn plastic into shred. So the
Right.
different mixed bottle plastic, they clean it, put it into this device, and it becomes shred. What if we could do something with that? Oh, wait, I think there's what do you call 3D printers now today that can take that and do something else. So it really is. It's such a big picture, and it's a multi-pronged attack, not attack, but effort to educate, to innovate. There's a project I'm working on with an artist in Finland to create a show that brings in various types of waste products so that we can educate the public and show them that this waste, it's not waste, it's a piece of art that can be turned into art. You just have to change your belief system and, like use your imagination. And we want to use a bit of technology to help them do that. So we're working on some really cool ideas, but the idea is to take actual waste, like bales of waste that you get from waste management, and turn that into art to help the public understand that this is more than just waste. It's a valuable resource. And once we start understanding this and respecting it, then we can do something as a community, as a society, as as a government, and so sort of thing.
So every company now is a building block in achieving this vision that you're describing. So how does Xwork itself set its own sustainability goals, and what metrics do you use in order to communicate amongst yourselves about the difference you're making in the world, so that you can not just tell your customers, but evangelize participating in this to other companies?
Well, the way I see Xworks is that we sit in the middle, and we want to bring this collaborative network together. So whether
but doesn't that mean you are measuring your carbon emissions or the carbon emissions that you're reducing for your clients? How do you tell them how their actions matter?
Yeah. So what we look at, for example, the number of tons that moves through the platform. Based on that, then there's a calculation that we're using to look at, well, if you moved, I don't know, 5,000 tons this year, that means you have reduced X amount of carbon from the environment. And we can show this because you use the network and we optimize the route that you use. That means you use less carbon footprint, less plastic miles, and you use the most optimal route. So in that way, that's where I'm leading to a sustainability credit. So by using the Xworks network and using we're able to look at the data and then say, based on these steps that you've done over a period of time, we're able to say, hey, Mr. Company, you've done so great this year. You've reduced your plastic footprint compared to last year, and you've actually recycled more. You've actually sent out more, thanks to the help of our network, et cetera.
Now, you've started a waste management company and you've done a lot of entrepreneurial efforts in your life. What's your advice to all the people out there who might be thinking, I could start a company to solve this problem within my community or my region? What should they be thinking about when they think about creating a local solution for collection or processing?
So I think that getting involved in the waste management industry is not easy. There are a lot of bad actors, a lot of people that just don't want to be helpful. And so I think that it's not easy to get into. I'm very fortunate that I have the number of years behind me. So somebody that wants to get into it, I think that you need to find people that have been there, that have experience, that know what they're doing, to guide you and coach you and get involved in this industry, because it's not easy. You could just be taken very quickly. But when you want to do something locally for a collection purpose, I think that's very doable. You could work with the community and say, hey, let's work together. Start understanding what the different types of plastics are, what you could do with the different types of cardboard or metal. Understand how to separate what it is that you need to separate. And let's say as a community, I don't know how big the community is, but you could start baling small quantities, and then you can sell that. So to sell it to waste management, who will, take it and say, okay, I could do something with that. And it can then, be tracked and then traded out into the export market.
I assume that you would give roughly the same advice to a business that's looking at its waste stream and thinking we could do more with it. Are there any?
Absolutely, we do that.
And are any variations that a business person looking at their waste and thinking about how to create value from it should take away from the conversation?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we do the same thing. So we've actually gone in and done some waste audits, and we've actually guided them, say, hey, you produce so much cardboard, you can actually put a mini baler in here, not too big. It won't cost that much. And you can actually extract value. So instead of sending it to this in the skip, you could actually have, I don't know, 5 bales, 10 bales of cardboard, especially the logistics and retail parks. These are, or malls. you can extract value. So instead of putting it in the bin, you can actually now bale it. Upfront cost, it would be the baler. And now every time you produce waste, you actually are partaking in making sure that this material is going to be sent off to be recycled. And you get some financial reward for that.
How can people follow along with what Xworks is doing? Or if they want to join, what's the first step? Obviously, they need to be a waste professional, but how do they get started?
So they can follow us on the website, and they can follow me on LinkedIn as well. They can reach out to us. I can also help you with some emails, but it's an easy one is sales@xworkstech.com. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm very friendly, so they can reach out to me. I'm happy to talk people through the process. And yeah, or just follow us on the website.
Well, hey, Electra, thank you very much for an interesting conversation. And I encourage everybody to take a look at Xworks, particularly all the business people out there who have so much waste they need to take care of. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you so much for your time.
That was my conversation with Electra Coutsoftides, who is the CEO of Xworks, a business network and trading platform for waste professionals. If you're interested in selling or buying material, you can explore the network at xworkstech.com. That's all one word, no space, no dash, xworkstech.com. Check it out. Money. That is what makes industrial processes work. And as Electra explained, there's a lot of money lying around in our leftover manufacturing waste, paper and cardboard, and post-consumer metals, plastics, and some other materials. But unlike nature, which is intricately connected at the local level because it's had literally billions of years to make that happen, our economy is just beginning to make the connections that can move one organization or person's waste to another that can use it to make something valuable. Xworks Network could be an important component in weaving an ecosystem that transforms waste into that new value. So if you're a business looking at a pile of scraps left over from the manufacturing process or trash collected at your quick service restaurant, spend some time to find collection and processing partners to turn that into money or carbon credits that don't just eliminate the cost of disposal, but perhaps even bring new value or revenue to your business. And help educate your customers so they can contribute cleaner, better sorted materials to lower the cost of turning waste into renewable value. Hey, talk to Earth911 about how to connect customers to local and mail-in collection options. We're here to help. And of course, we're going to continue to track Xworks and other efforts to weave that new sustainable economy. I hope you take a moment to share this podcast or any of the more than 450 interviews that we've produced on sustainability in your ear. If you take a moment to write a review on your favorite podcast platform, it will help your neighbors and business partners find us. You folks are the amplifiers that can spread more ideas to create less waste. So let people know that they can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, or any of their favorite purveyors of podcast goodness. Thank you for your support. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. This is Earth911, and we will be back with another innovator interview soon. In the meantime, folks, take care of yourself, take care of one another, and let's all take care of this beautiful planet of ours. Have a green day.